All right. What's up, everybody? I am sitting down with Ken Perry. He has just returned within days, I don't think it's weeks yet, from a 30-day trip, traveling Europe with his wife to celebrate 30 years of marriage. So, first of all, dude, congratulations on 30 years of marriage. I mean, I just have so much respect for any human being that figures out how to be with another human being and have 30 plus years of marriage. Congrats to you and Mindy.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and the 30-day thing was I mean, we planned it for a few years. We didn't use a tour guide or a travel agent or anything, but yeah, it was a lot to plan, but it was freaking amazing. And it was a huge celebration. Like every day we kind of thought through and had discussions about how the marriage has gone. And it was super amazing. And four countries, one earthquake, two power outages. So quite an event.
Well, give it a little more data because you did a Facebook post a couple of days ago, four countries, and then rattle off some of those other data
Oh,
points.
dude, we walked 1.1 million miles. Sorry, not miles, steps between us. So every day at the end of the day, we would track how many new foods we ate. We would track how many steps we took. We would track how many floors we climbed. And it's a lot because they don't have elevators everywhere. And the ones they do have, I didn't want to take. I hate elevators in general, but in Europe, the older, like these are 1700, buildings, not 1700, earlier than that, old buildings. And I don't want to be on that elevator. So we walked a lot of stairs and we just tracked like everything that we did. People that we ran into where we would meet them at a tour or whatever, and then we'd run into them later at a restaurant and end up having dinner with them. Just so many killer experiences. The earthquake was a 6.2 right off of the island we were on in
Wow.
Crete, right after off of kind of near us in Crete. And then the power outage, Barcelona was totally out of power when we checked into our hotel, and all of Spain and all of Portugal and some of France was all powerless. And so we had to deal with, we had 60 euro on us because we kept getting cash every country. We had 60 euro and no ATMs were working and no credit card machines were working. So we're like, how many days is this going to go? And how do we handle that? And I find that handling something like that is easier when you have nothing else stressing you out at the time. Like if we have that here while we have work and while we have other things, it's much more stressful than we just kind of went with the flow and figured it out. But yeah, there was a lot of really interesting stuff that happened that was like, all right, we can handle it. It's not, nothing can stop us from enjoying this trip.
Well, I'm so happy for you, bro. I'm so proud of you. I want to unpack what success means to you. I want to do it in the context that our audience, for both of us, we both create a lot of content, bring a lot of leadership, speak to a
Mm-hmm.
lot of loan officers and executives. And it's been a rough 3 years to be in love with the mortgage business,
Mm-hmm.
to feel successful. There's a lot of challenges to what we define as success. So I thought it would be fun to you and I just talk about what success means to you, give some leadership to people. Obviously, as much of that as you want to, paint around this trip you just got back from, feel free.
Mm-hmm.
If you had any epiphanies, if there was any intention. Well, first of all, guys, anyone who listened to Ken, I've interviewed Ken a number of times. I've had meals with Ken's. Ken has spent multiple nights spending that at my house, so I know this guy really good. But how do you say you're a nerd without saying you're a nerd? And when you saw that list, and by the way, the best kind of nerd, like Ken Perry is my kind of nerd. I'm pretty nerdy myself. But he's a guy that lives life by intention. He's
Mm-hmm.
really value oriented. He's very purpose oriented. I think that will come out over the course of this conversation. So, what does success mean to you, brother?
Oh, well, it's a huge question. And really, this is something I'm getting into in my own head, in my own journaling right now. And so I have a lot of thoughts on it. But a lot of this has come from I'm watching because I'm not a loan officer. I haven't done a loan since 1999. So, but I speak to the mortgage industry all the time. But being that I'm in the mortgage adjacent space, I get tons of texts, tons of emails. I see the social media that people are putting out right now, trying to encourage loan officers to do better and to do more. And so I see it and I go, and it gives me a separate perspective than what a loan officer gets, right? Because I'm not a loan officer. So I don't need to triple my production in the next 3 months. But when I see these things, I start going, what would it feel like to be a loan officer seeing, get 10 more leads a day or get close triple the loans. And it has this assumption that that's what you want to do, or that means success to you. We always do this thing at the office: what if it works? And so when you read some of these marketing pieces and you go, yeah, what if that worked? Like, am I built to do that many loans? Probably not, right? Do I have a system that can do that many? That wouldn't create success for people. And I think we saw that in 20 and 21. The market went so crazy, nobody could handle the amount of business they were doing. And I was talking to my coach, Bill Hart, at the time, and he was talking about a loan officer that he was talking to who was doing too many loans. And he goes, do fewer loans. And it like blew her mind, because your success isn't doing so many loans you can't even eat, sleep, have family, any of that. Strike while the iron's hot or whatever, you do that. But if you haven't decided what success looks like for you and how much is too much, then you're going to fall into these traps of like chasing these things. And I'm reading this book you would love. I don't think I have it with me, but it's this book talks about like basically your second half of life. What's the story for your second half of life? And a lot of people, it deals with like people that were really big sports stars. And it talks about, okay, well, you were crushing it in sports, you'll never be that good again. And so if success to you is running a 6-minute mile, you better change your definition of success. And if you keep chasing who you used to be, you're not physically able to do that. So redefine what success looks like. So for me, it's been a big deal of, you don't know, and this is the hard part of parenting, you don't know what you did wrong until they're old enough to tell you. And I've traveled my entire career. I've traveled since I started the company 23 years ago. And I've been on planes almost every week for the last many years. And to me, it was kind of chasing this. I love being on stages. To me, success in business is being on stages. It's being able to influence and have influence over people, or for people. And so I kind of chased that, but I was looking at it like success in business was separate from success at home. And especially over the last 30 days, I've been able to look back at some things and go, dang, like success is holistic, right? So if I look at how do I want to be successful, it doesn't mean I need to look at it and go, how do I want to be successful at home? What does success look like there? Now, what does success look like at the office? It's actually the same thing. Like, what does my success in life actually feel like? And unless you figure that out, you're going to chase after some pretty crazy things. One more thing on this, I decided to interview people who had sold their companies to find out who's happy. And you don't know this, I don't think, but you were one of them. When I stayed at your house, that was my search, is when you sell a company and create a life, what is success in that? And I got to actually look at different people in the way that they handled it. And I don't know if I've told you this, but you were my favorite, because your definition of success never changed. So no matter, even though you had an exit from your company, your definition of success involves Jack. He's always been part of your definition of success. Sydney has always been part. Your whole family is part of your definition of success. So when you sold your company, it wasn't like I had all the success, that was it. The reason your life is still going the way you want it to go, in my opinion, from my view, is because you're the same dude you were. You're just able to touch more lives. And so if you define success as being able to have a greater impact on both people I know and I'm friends with and love and family, and also people out there, you get to define success not by your number, the number that you sold for, but by who you are in that. And so you stayed as grounded as you always were. Not everybody does that, right? Money doesn't create success for people. And I think if loan officers can get that out of their head, they can start realizing they have massive gains right now when mortgages aren't going so hot.
Dude, that was intense. It almost brought me to tears because there's no doubt, my kids, Kelly, we call the core four, is, super important. And wow. So what advice do you have for loan officers, whether they are absolutely killing it right now, which is a very small percentage of
Mm-hmm,
loan officers,
mm-hmm.
and I've been
Yeah.
and I interview those people, and I would tell you I interview some of those people in offline, like, hey, this is hard. I'm not having as much fun despite the fact that
Hmm.
they're still making an incredible amount of money. But then there are a lot of loan officers that are like, should I stay in the business? What
Hmm.
are some Kim Perry reflections around, advice for those folks?
Yeah, for some, the answer is no, and it's been no. But they have to make that decision, right? So part of that is, why are you here? If you're here because you need to make a certain amount of money or this doesn't work, then I would argue that you're here chasing a success that isn't what you want to be chasing, right? If you're here because you love the feeling of somebody moving into their house and you had something to do with that, you can still do that. Like, that's still available to you, just at a lower number. Having been to Guatemala as many times as I go, and working in communities that have nothing, I've seen people who have a lot to complain about and don't, because they've found community within the area that they live and the people that they're connected to. They found service in that, even with nothing, you can give, and they found other ways to find that success in their lives. And so I would argue that if you're not having financial success as a loan officer right now, find ways to have impact in people's lives that don't necessarily get you that financial success. Yes, you have to pay the bills, but the best way you can get out of a bad situation is serve your way out of it. And I've been to Guatemala. I think I've been going 10 years now. And so I've been going when the market was hot, and I've been going when the market is not. And so I've gotten to see loan officers who were both really excited and had a lot of money, and really not excited and didn't have a lot of money. And down there and serving in those communities, everything goes away. Like, it's not that stressful when you can start serving and giving to other people. And then you get back with this new sense of, okay, I don't have it so bad. And now I'm not acting out of desperation. The more you focus on a problem, the more that, like, fear and anxiety and stuff kicks in, because all you're doing is focusing on yourself, right? And the issues that you've got, which makes sense. It happens to a lot of people. But if you can focus on, okay, where can I give? Like, go down to the food pantry in your town and spend a Saturday giving. Those types of things take you out of that, stress of, gosh, am I going to make it? Most people, I mean, a lot of people are going to make it. Like, people who set up successful businesses, I don't know, did you just get to the mortgage industry? Because this is kind of how it goes, right? It sucks and it's awesome, and it sucks and it's awesome. So just understand you're in a sucky time, and that's okay. But don't fall for the people that are saying, well, you just need to do this, right? I'm seeing a lot of people not be themselves right now. They're trying something that they never should have tried, right? And it's like, I'm seeing some very inauthentic emails and videos being sent out right now. It's like, dude, that's not who you are. Like, you're just trying to be something because somebody told you you should. But if you remember how you build a relationship, and you go back to doing what you do the best in your relationship building, then you're going to be successful at that. But don't try a new tactic that somebody, put in front of you, if it's so not who you are. I always reference, like, Matt Graham. Matt Graham's one of my good buddies, and he's freaking brilliant. But if I was to try and go out there and present like Matt Graham, like I know how the financial markets work, that's not my world. And so if he was going to coach me on how to go deliver that speech, it's not authentic, and I'm going to suck at it and feel like a failure. But if I can go back to doing those things that I love to do and that I'm super good at, and not try to become somebody I'm not, that's a faster track to success. Um,
What are your thoughts on this? One, I guess, epiphany I had, and I actually I knew how important the core four in my family is, because I've been very intentional throughout my entire career as a father. And part of, I think I told you I'm writing a book right now around my code. I told you about my
no,
code.
I don't think you did. Uh-uh.
Oh, well, I don't want to spend too much of this time, but it was when Jack graduated, I decided to, when I read the book Principles by Ray Dalio, I started keeping like little Evernotes of things that are like part of my code.
Mm-hmm,
My advice makes a difference. That is part of my code. I founded MortgageCoach under that. But there's
mm-hmm,
all, better, never bitter, always better, never bitter. Like, that's part of
mm-hmm,
my code. But one of the things, purpose and profits. I
mm-hmm,
adopted a purpose and profits focus a long time ago, coming out of the meltdown. I
mm-hmm,
didn't have it my whole career, but coming out of the meltdown, I definitely wasn't profitable, and was losing money. And I watched Salmon Sinek. You told me I need to watch that
mm-hmm.
video, but I watched his The power of why, I can't remember exactly
Yeah.
what the name of it was, but I reshaped my why around Mortgage Coach that I'm, this company, this movement is going to change how people get into debt in America.
Hmm.
And so I had a profit why, but I had a purpose why. And I feel like on the other side of selling Mortgage Coach, like the purpose why didn't go away. Like I did check a box
Right.
on the profit why, but hey, that's
Hmm.
easy to fix. Like I can make a bigger target. But if I
Right.
didn't have that purpose why, like my life would be very different because I'm so far away
Right.
from changing that. What are your thoughts on the power of why? And by the way, maybe how it relates to you and your, what happiness and success means to you.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, you're purpose driven, right? And your purpose wasn't to have a huge exit. That was just part of the process, right? That's part of
It
what's
was a
happened in
goal.
your
It
life.
was a goal.
Yeah, of course it is. But your purpose is to impact more people. So when you sold your company, you could have walked away. You started another freaking two more companies. You could have walked away and been like, beach time, like, see you guys, peace out, drop the mic. But it's not who you are, right? You're not, you're chasing impact, which is what I've done my whole career. If you're chasing impact, that chase just gets better and easier to do when you have an exit like you did. If you're chasing experience, money, financial freedom, and stuff like that, there's nothing at the end of that, right? You'll never catch that. It's never enough, right? And so success has to be driven. For me, it's never been financial. I've never made the money I could have made had I done, other things, because it's not about that for me. It's about having massive impact and as much impact as I can possibly have. And I've made decisions that aren't the best financial decisions, like things that aren't going to make me a killing, because I'd rather make a difference than a killing. And so having that for me, success is, did I impact lives? Now, the hard part about that is sometimes I impact them negatively, like we all do, right? It's not, you're not going to live in a world where everybody is always going to feel like you did the right thing by them, right? And so that's hard. And so when you have to be careful when you set it up as like, success for me is impacting as many lives in a positive way. It doesn't mean if you didn't, impact one person's life in a negative way that you're not successful. It means you're chasing that, right? Everything's chasing and trying to be a better version of yourself every day. This book, Strength to Strength, that I told you about that I'm reading, it's the most depressing book ever. My brother bought it for me, and I'm like, why would you buy this? Like, the first chapter is you're physically getting weaker every year or something like that. And the next chapter is like you're mentally getting weaker every year. And it's getting you to realize you're not able to do what you once were able to do. For me, and this is kind of a funny thing, my wife on the 30-day trip, my wife was worried that I would get so addicted to traveling in Europe that I would want this to be our future. And we're getting to where like we're looking at what does future look like, right? And so she was worried that that would be my thing. And so we actually had to have a success meeting at the house of like, what does success for us look like? Well, we love pouring ourselves into, and we feel like we're called to pour ourselves into young people. Like we want to help as many young people get, off on the right foot, build community, do that stuff. I can't do that from Europe. And so for us, we had to sit down and define success to make sure that we don't get caught up in some of these things that can be super exciting and fun. We want to do the things that we're supposed to do and that we're built to do. And so that's it for me. It's like, let's impact more lives. Okay, what lives am I supposed to be impacting? I'll eventually speak at schools on ADHD because it's a big thing for me. And I want to change the lives of kids who feel like they're never enough or like they're always a problem or they're always too loud. I want to help them realize that some of the best entrepreneurs in America and the world have dealt with ADHD, dyslexia. These are the things I want to do because that's chasing success for me. So regardless of what happens today in my business or what happens tomorrow in my business or how many mortgage originators get out of the business or what AI does to me, I can't swing by those things. I have to swing by success for me is, am I making an impact where I'm supposed to be making an impact?
Wow. So, guys, we're going to wrap this up. This is going to be part one of a continued conversation between Ken and I. I hope you got value from this conversation, but I hope you wrote down chasing impact. Part of my code, and by the way, Ken, I put a link to it in
Oh,
Zoom,
cool.
a copy of that. So click on it. Anybody watching this, I'll put a link to it. And it's just a copy of a document that I wrote for my kids. And one of my code is obsessed with impact. Although I
Mm.
think I might change it after hearing Ken say the words chase, always chasing impact. That has been part of my code for a long, long time. It has served me well. For any loan officer living, watching this, I can't emphasize enough. It's good to have monetary goals and missions and financial mission. But if you want to have sustainable success and sustainable happiness, it's got to be balanced with things like chasing impact, things like purpose and profit. Uh, one of the anchors to my personal code is always better, never bitter. And the first time I heard that word, I'll always credit Sarah Middleton for this. I interviewed her at a sales mastery. I can't remember the year, but it was, let's just say 2012, 2014. In the book, I put the year, but she wanted me to interview her because she was like just a year or two getting over the loss of a child. I
Mm.
mean, like one of her kids in her 20s, she lost. And she said, what got me through it is every day I'd wake up and I had a choice to make, bitter or better. And I'd make
Wow.
the choice better. And so I made that part of my code. And I would tell you, like my daughter reached out to me a couple of years ago, is like, Dad, I'm thinking about getting a tattoo. And I'm like, okay. I mean, she's 26 now. She was like 23. I'm like, I'm glad that you're asking me, but you don't have to. But what are you thinking about the tattoo? And she's like, better. And I was just like, if you get that
Wow.
tattoo, I will get that tattoo.
Oh my God. Did
Uh,
you get it?
I don't have it yet. But if she
Oh,
does get
wow.
it, if she ever does it, I don't want to egg her on. But if she does, I will have that tattoo. But the point I want to close out with this, guys, is the key to success and sustainable success is having a code, and that code needs to go beyond a financial outcome. Like, or
Mhm.
else you'll either never hit it and you'll get bitter, or you'll hit it and you'll get bitter.
Yep. What
So
if it
so
works?
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts for you, bro?
Yeah. I mean, you said tattoo. I have one tattoo and it says son right there. My son and I got it. And my dad got one that says dad, he starts the legacy. But when you talked about tattoos, this is all I have to do is be a good son. And on that, to be a good father to my son and my daughters, of course. But like it's this concept of what does success look like? It's not the numbers, man. It's the impact. And my first email address ever was kpimpact@yahoo.com back in 20 when I was
No
like 21
surprise
years
there,
old.
bro. No
It's been there
surprise.
for my debate team I coached in high school was Team Impact. So it's always been a thing. And it's always helped me not feel like I'm failing.
KP Impact is your new nickname. And this has been a
Nice.
great conversation. Hopefully, we inspired some folks. We, reminded you of some things. You got some value for this. Make sure you follow Ken Perry. The guy is worth following on any channel that he's on. If anybody wants to learn more about the Knowledge Coop and all the amazing things you do, what's the best way to get in the know?
Go to knowledgecube.com or check out our podcast, which is called Lessons from Last Time. And specifically, one thing we interviewed Fred Baldwin. And just lastly, on the success thing, I don't know if you know Fred, but he
Of
started
course.
Meritage. He's one of the icons in the industry, one of the founding fathers of our industry. And he passed away last month. And we had done an interview with him. And in the interview, he talks a lot about his success I asked him about his success as a dad and his success in business. And when he was leaving, he goes, look, if you know of any deals that I could get into, I'm still wanting them. He's just so passionate about doing what he does that all the way until, the end of his life, he was wanting to get in. He was 90, I think 94 when I interviewed him, and 92 or 94. And so all the way to the end of his life, he wanted to make an impact and have it and make a difference out there. And that's inspiring. And it's kind of what started this process of me thinking about this.
I love it, Ken. Well, love you, brother. I can't wait till
You
our next
too.
conversation. If you're watching
Yep.
this and you have not subscribed to the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, subscribe right now. Make sure you're following savageinsights.com. At the top is who I'm interviewing next. And then a couple down is a mobile club, Savage Insider Club. Get in that mobile club a couple times a week. I am sending out a text. If you want to go from loan officer to modern mortgage advisor, like be in that text group. If you're a manager or leader, get all your loan officers in that Savage Insiders Club. Take care. This is a wrap. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, buddy.